And good evening. This is Mottek on Money. We're getting it started with Frank and Stein here in just a moment. Ben Stein will be joining me live in just a moment. This is Mottek on Money in the 5 o'clock hour here in Los Angeles on 790 KBC, streaming live online worldwide at kbc.com and the on-demand Mottek on Money podcast for you at kbc.com, Apple, iTunes, all your favorite podcast platforms. We have a winner today. Stock averages moving higher with the Dow coming in for its best day since early August. Looks like we got a bunch of economic reports that came in a bit better than expected. And we had a big IPO today. Shares of chip design company ARM Holdings, the ticker symbol on that one is ARM, surging in a long-anticipated IPO. The stock hit the market at $56.10, closed at $63.59 a share, a pop of 25% on the day. The Dow coming in for a closing gain of 332 points. The S&P 500 moved up 38, and the NASDAQ came alive up 112 points on the day. We did get some new readings on inflation today, this time the producer price index, and it turns out wholesale prices moved up 0.7% in the month of August, according to that producer price index, which measures inflation at the wholesale level. The gain was largely because of, you guessed it, rising energy costs. The price of oil has been kissing new highs for the year, and this surpassed the 0.4% increase expected by economists that were polled by the Wall Street Journal. Retailers also in with their report, the retail sales number coming in at up 0.6% in August, up for the fifth month in a row, despite worries about a potential hangover for internet sellers following Amazon's Prime Day sales event, which we saw happen in July. Taking a look at some of the other action today, of course, the hot labor summer continues here in Hollywood, still shut down because of the writers and actors strikes, and a first-ever simultaneous strike at the Detroit 3 car makers by the United Auto Workers Union. Growing all but certain now as the minutes tick away here. Little progress reported in talks just hours before a contract deadline expires tonight. We'll be on it tonight with Lauren Fix, our car expert, the editor-in-chief of Car Coach and co-host of the Total Car Score podcast. And coming up later this hour, a giant in the real estate business, one of the biggest names in real estate in the entire world, will be joining us live later this hour. Celebrity realtor, reality TV star whose shows include Buying Beverly Hills, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and soon to be on the next season of Dancing with the Stars. His books include The Deal Maker, How to Succeed in Business and Life. I'm talking about Mauricio UMANSKY. Will be joining me live later this hour. And by the way, he won an EY Entrepreneur of the Year award this year. Mauricio UMANSKY, the founder and CEO of the agency based in Beverly Hills, a billion-dollar brokerage that utilizes world-class technology and innovative marketing strategies. Mauricio UMANSKY will be joining us live later this hour. But first, as promised, Frank and Stein, and that is the one and only Ben Stein on the line with us now on Your Money, the Markets, and the Economy. Of course, Ben Stein, financial and political commentator, economist, attorney, author, presidential speechwriter, actor, too, famous for his role in the movie Ferris Bueller's Day Off, where he basically played himself in that famous scene in the movie where he played the economics professor. Ben Stein, thank you very much for taking the call here. Another big day.
Pleasure.
Wonderful to have you with us.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Great to have you with us, Ben. How you doing?
I really had to laugh when I was hearing you read off the list of interesting things that happened today. What I kept thinking is, wow, what a guy Frank is to bring all this news to us when we're just sitting here in our cars or sitting here watching some sports event. But they don't mean anything. They don't mean a single thing to the ordinary investor, the ordinary saver, the ordinary worker, the ordinary student. They don't mean anything. I mean, if we were to get a report that unemployment had surged tremendously, that would be a big piece of news. If we were to get a report that the price of energy and fossil fuels had dropped a great deal, that would mean a great deal. But these little dinky spots of data day by day just mean absolutely nothing except they're amusing to your listeners.
Well, you're a big thinker, and I know you've said in the past that we're just little boats on a big sea and just bobbing along, right? That's your view of the world.
Exactly right. And, you know, it's a great, wonderful sea if you're in the United States of America, because you and I and whoever else is listening to us out there in America, LA land, can, for a few pennies, buy a stock or an index of stocks that has the smartest, most aggressive, most cagey, sometimes most dishonest thinkers in the world of business helping us to deploy our money. And that's an incredibly great thing. That's an incredibly great thing. But what happens hour by hour or day by day, really, it's interesting. It's amusing. It gives us something to think about besides helping our kids with their homework. But it's just, it means nothing.
I thought the best part of what you heard was the Frankenstein part, so that we're going to continue on that theme, Ben Stein. And let me ask you this:
Frank, your voice is hypnotic and soothing. So that is a big plus.
I know you're a longtime listener and not a first-time caller, so I'm always elated to speak to the one and only Ben Stein live on the air, as we're doing right now here on 790 KBC. So a lot going on, a lot of unprecedented things happening this year. We got the simultaneous writers and actors strike continuing in Hollywood, and now a possible triple header here for the UAW going on strike against all the major car makers here. So another potential hit to the economy. Give us your view of all the labor situation here, first of all.
Well, I am a writer, I am an actor, and I am a member of AFTRA. And so I don't like these strikes at all. But by and large, this is a very, very special strike for people in the entertainment industry, because if the AI really gets rolling, goodbye to all the unions. I mean, they're adios to SAG, adios to AFTRA, adios to Writers Guild. So that is not just a tiny driblet of information. That's a gigantic thing. And if I were a writer or an actor, which I guess I am, I would be awfully sure that I had my savings, and that I would be very, very sad if I had not saved considerably over the years. And I must say, when I hear these stories, I just think to myself, thanks, Pop, thanks, Mom, for encouraging me to save. I mean, what the hell do writers, actors, everybody in Hollywood, what do they do now? What the hell are they going to do now? So that is a big thing. That's not a trivial thing. For people in the UAW, if all three automakers go on strike, they're not going to go on strike at Toyota. They're not going to go on strike at Kia. They're not going to go on strike at Nissan or BMW or Audi. So there'll be still plenty of cars around.
This could be the first ever simultaneous strike at the Detroit 3 car makers by the UAW, and it's a big ask. They're asking for 40% pay raises through 2027.
It's great. Why don't they ask for 100% pay raises? I mean, this is a comment. What's happening here is a comment on how fearful people are of future inflation, and that is a serious thing. That's not a little driblet of information like how one stock exchange changed by day. And I will say, if I were a member of any one of these unions, either in Hollywood or in manufacturing, I would be really, really, really careful that I had saved money. And this is a loud klaxon calling, saying dive to get away from the depth charges of inflation. They're going to fall around us and blow us up. Those are really important. I mean, I cannot tell you how important it is to have savings. It's just mind-boggling. It's night and day.
On the air live with you guest at Ben Stein. You're also a political commentator, so I have to ask you now, new impeachment talk, this time focused on President Biden. Give us your reaction to that latest news, House impeachment inquiry getting underway.
Well, the Republicans have either one or two vote majority or something approaching that in the House of Representatives. I don't think that's going to give them enough to get them a vote for impeachment, and they have no chance at all of getting a vote for conviction and impeachment in the U.S. Senate. On the other hand, I do think we have had some very serious blows at the Constitution, at the legal system under President Biden, and I think he really should be ashamed of himself. I mean, the idea that people whose only crime was walking down, marching in front of the Capitol and kicking in a window would be sentenced to 22 years in a federal prison is criminal. It's just dictatorship running rampant and running amok. It's not a piece of economic. It's a very, very serious and deadly blow at the Constitution, and I don't understand why it is that not one of the federal or federal courts, either district or circuit courts, has picked up this horrible situation. We really are facing something that never happened before. Somebody said to me, "Well, have there ever been other attacks on the Capitol?" Yes, in 1864, the Confederates marched over or floated over the Potomac River, went around my hometown of Silver Spring, Maryland, and attacked the Capitol, and were stopped at Fort Stevens by Union forces under the command of Oliver Wendell Holmes. And there was a battle. No large number of people were killed, and the Confederates went back south. Nobody was arrested. Nobody was charged. And this was an actual battle attacking the Capitol. This was not just some people throwing stones and kicking in windows. And yet here we have people sentenced to 20-plus years for just really basically being in the wrong place at the wrong time. And this is not constitutional law. This is not due process. This is some kind of dictatorship in the making.
On the Air Live with Ben Stein, and of course, the Republican frontrunner, former President Trump, facing a wide variety of charges now. Give us your reaction to what's happening with him, and also what's your expectation of whether there'll be any trials before the actual election this time around?
Well, what I'm really scared about is the District of Columbia. There's the judge and the prosecutor and the judge in the District of Columbia are violent Trump haters, and the same people in Georgia are violent Trump haters. And I could actually see them convicting Trump of something, and considering how pathetic the appeals courts in this country have gotten, I could see them sending him to prison if they do. If there were to actually be a conviction and imprisonment of President Trump for nothing. Bear in mind, I, alone among all your listeners, have actually read the speech that President Trump gave before the marchers marched down to the Capitol on January 6th. He said unequivocally, don't go if you're thinking about being violent at all. This has to be completely nonviolent. Nobody ever seems to pay any attention to that.
Let me ask you this. Fast forward to today. We see the news that President Biden's son Hunter was indicted today for allegedly making false statements and illegally possessing a handgun, setting the stage for a possible criminal trial for the younger Biden in 2024 while his father campaigns for re-election. Give us your reaction to that big news here today.
I question very much whether President Biden will be in good enough health to campaign in 2024. I mean, I very much doubt it. I don't think he's really compos mentis at this point by a good long way. And so I don't think that's going to happen. I think what Hunter Biden was charged with, namely false statements in connection with owning a handgun, is nothing. It's absolutely nothing. And this is a guy who is getting bribed right and left in front of all the media, who completely ignored it and covered up for him. That's serious. I mean, the president's son, using his connection, very close connection with his father, the president, and previous to that, the vice president, that's really serious. That's extremely serious. So that's not a joke at all. That's really, really serious. The handgun thing is a joke.
All right, you had a front row seat in the Nixon days. So you think what's happening now rises to impeachment?
I don't think the things Nixon did rose to impeachment, and he was impeached but not convicted. And that was they never actually could find out what the crime was. I mean, these 5 or 7 Cubans broke into the Democrat National Committee headquarters at the Watergate, where I, your humble servant, own real estate, and nobody ever figured out what they were there for. Nothing was stolen, nothing was broken, no one was hurt. It's completely unclear what the crime was.
On the Air Live with Ben Stein, we're going to put another hat on you here now, Ben. On the economy, we did get new readings on inflation. It's still running hot. You know that from driving by that gas station of the Stars there in Beverly Hills and seeing the prices on that sign there this evening. What about inflation here?
We're not making much progress in stopping it, and I have the terrible, terrible feeling that it's going to take something really serious like a recession to stop it. And people are already very worried about it. I got a call this afternoon from a very young, beautiful woman who occasionally does errands for my beautiful wife and me, and she told us about her accident, and I said, oh, that's terrible, have you gotten your car fixed? And she said, before that, are we in a recession? And I thought, well, honey, you have a job, you have a car, you have a home, you're not in much of a recession. But I think there is going to have to be some very considerable slowdown of the economy for us to get the inflation stopped. And the idea that President Biden and his colleagues are cutting down on U.S. production of fossil fuels in Alaska and other parts of the United States is breathtakingly stupid. It's just not just stupid, it's breathtakingly stupid.
And it looks like gas and oil prices led the way in the latest inflation reports, and oil hovering around $90 a barrel here. Is it going? Is it? You take out your crystal ball now. Is it going to 100 or beyond that?
I don't see why it wouldn't. I mean, it might or might not, but I would think it would. And we have a government which is trying to kill the oil and gas industry. We have a government which is trying to kill people, kill the whole oil and gas consuming appliances, cars, ovens. We have a government that just has no understanding whatsoever of how the world works, and they're causing some serious damage. I mean, I hate to say it because they are fellow human beings, but they're causing terrible damage. I think you and I might have discussed this. I'm not sure. The Council of Economic Advisors, which you will recall my father is chairman of long ago, and the chairman now has no degrees or studies or coursework in economics. That's kind of amazing. How did that happen?
That is amazing. Let me ask you this. Where is Ben Stein putting his money now and/or taking it off the table?
Ben Stein is, to the extent that it is possible, just keeping it in insured deposit.
That seems to be the prudent thing to do, given the interest rates where they are.
Let me back up. Also, real estate. I love real estate because in a situation like ours, if you have real estate, you can raise the rents, and the poor tenant has to pay, or else he or she will be out on the street. And so you can keep up with inflation to some extent. But how the president gets away, how the Congress lets him get away with starting this whole inflation by all this nonsense about cutting back on oil production, it's just incredible. It's just incredible. I mean, it is. We are now seeing the results of 20 or 30 years of zero education among the elite of this country.
I know you love real estate. I know you're going to love our next guest coming up here, a big celebrity realtor, Mauricio UMANSKY, the founder and the CEO of The Agency, will be joining us live. So you'll have another reason to tune in further here this evening, Ben Stein. So stay tuned. We do appreciate you joining us live here tonight for our occasional Frank and Stein conversation as needed. Ben, thank you very much for taking the call here this evening.
It's always a great pleasure, Frank. God bless you. God bless you.
Thank you very much. Likewise, Ben. And have a wonderful evening. Let's get right out to the freeways now. You're on 790 KABC. Innovation Refunds has been helping small businesses that qualify get a business payroll tax refund through the Employee Retention Credit, also known as the ERC. It's Frank Mottek here. The ERC is a tax refund for businesses that kept employees on payroll for parts of the year 2020 and 2021. If you own a business with more than 5 employees, you could have money waiting for you. The ERC tax filing is very complex. Innovation Refunds is dedicated to helping business owners like you navigate the process. If your business faced challenges during the pandemic that it would not have without pandemic government orders, you might be eligible for a substantial refund. Go to innovationrefunds.com to see if you qualify. Innovation Refunds has hundreds of 5-star reviews on Trustpilot, Google, and they're accredited by the BBB. There's no upfront fee. They don't get paid unless you get paid. Innovationrefunds.com. That's the website, or you can call 1-843-REFUNDS. That's 1-843-REFUNDS. Innovation Refunds does not provide tax or legal advice. They work with an independent network of tax professionals and will share information with them to evaluate and process your claims. Terms and conditions apply. 790 KBC welcomes the Rocky Horror Picture Show 48th anniversary spectacular tour to the Saban Theater October 8th. Tickets are on sale now at AXS.com. Right now, caller 9 wins at 1-888-790-5222. You can get a pair of tickets to the show if you're caller 9 right now. Call right now, 1-888-790-5222. Winning day for the stock market. The Dow coming in for a closing gain of 332 points, settling at 34,907. The S&P 500 moved to 38 at 4505, and the Nasdaq popped 112 points higher to 13,926. The yield on the 10-year note at 4.30%. That's the one that impacts the fixed-rate mortgage rates, which are hovering near 20-plus year highs. Big news on Wall Street today, a big IPO, initial public offering. Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing finishing nearly 1% higher today. NVIDIA also edged higher as the UK-based chip company ARM made its Wall Street debut today under the ticker symbol ARM. Started in NASDAQ trading. And looks like ARM is among a host of companies. Let's see here. Looks like some of those big names are among the companies investing in ARM at the IPO price. And we did see ARM shares moving higher at the closing bell, up about 25%. Hit the market at 56.10, ended at 63.59, a share gain of just about 25%. Shares of AMC Entertainment Holdings, the theater chain, dropping 1.2% after the company and a former meme stock darling announced the completion of its at-the-market equity offering, raising approximately $325.5 million. Shares of HP, Hewlett-Packard, moving down nearly 2% after Berkshire Hathaway sold about 5.5 million shares of the PC and printer maker, according to the Securities and Exchange Commission filing that came out late yesterday. Watching the auto company stocks, and we'll be talking about what appears to be an imminent UAW strike as the hot labor summer continues. We'll talk about that with Lauren Fix coming up. And we'll get a big update on real estate with one of the biggest names in the world in real estate, Mauricio UMANSKY, set to be live with us here shortly. That and more straight ahead on Mottek on Money here on 790 KBC. Let's be honest, sometimes we find ourselves or a loved one dealing with a massive injury caused by a terrible accident by no fault of our own. Sometimes it's simply being the wrong place at the wrong time. Listen, we're good at preparing for earthquakes and fires, but let's not forget to prepare in case we're involved in a major accident. It's critical to know who to call first. Attorney Clark Fielding became a lawyer to help you in a crisis. Fielding Law is focused on justice and resources for you, because they understand how the system works and what to do in the most horrific situations. I always say to put the Fielding Law team in your phone under the word accident. So all you have to do is hit dial. Believe me, you'll feel a lot better having set this up for yourself and your family. The number is 833-88-SHARK. Again, that's 833-88-SHARK. With the population exploding and increased vehicles on the freeways, be proactive, prepare for the worst, and expect the best. And if and when you do need help, call Clark Fielding and his team of sharks at 833-88-SHARK, 833-88-SHARK, or go to clarkthesharklaw.com. Again, that's clarkthesharklaw.com. Mottek on Money continues here in 790 KBC. Time for a big update on real estate tonight with probably the biggest name in real estate in the world at the moment, and that is Mauricio UMANSKY. Yep, or Mauricio UMANSKY, the founder and CEO of the agency based in Beverly Hills, billion-dollar brokerage that utilizes world-class technology and innovative marketing strategies. In fact, he was honored with an EY Entrepreneur of the Year award this year at a gala at the Beverly Hills Hotel. Mauricio UMANSKY, celebrity realtor, reality TV star whose shows include Buying Beverly Hills, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and soon to be on the next season of Dancing with the Stars. And his books include The Deal Maker, How to Succeed in Business and Life Through Dedication, Determination, and Disruption. Mauricio UMANSKY, thank you very much for joining us live here this evening, and it's great to have you back with us here on Mottek on Money on 790 KBC.
Hey, how you doing? It's good to be back, and boy, that introduction's getting better and better. I appreciate that.
Fantastic. It's been a while since we've chatted behind live microphones, and it's always great to see you at all the big events. You seem to be at all the right places throughout the area here. Mauricio, thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy schedule. Give us your view of things in real estate here at the moment.
Yeah, well, real estate's in an interesting time right now. There's no question that, I think finally people are believing what I've been saying for a year, that we're in a real estate recession. And, right now I think what's really more stagnant, just across the world and across the United States is the higher end stuff. The luxury stuff is a little bit slower than the lower end stuff, which is completely contradictory what everybody believed was going to happen. with interest rates, rising, everybody said, well, the high end won't get hurt because all the high end can afford it and it doesn't make it. The difference is, and I think that what has happened is that there were a lot of people that actually couldn't afford the high end because of the low interest rates that were buying higher end, more expensive stuff, more luxury goods. And now only the people that can afford it. And so that's why we've seen kind of a real slowdown in the real estate business. So it's a tough time right now. You got to be creative. You got to be disruptive. You got to, think differently, think outside the box in order to do things right now.
And that appears to be what you're doing. You were recognized by EY Entrepreneur of the Year Award, and I heard your acceptance speech. And obviously, you're doing what it takes to get the attention of entrepreneurs these days. And you yourself had to get started, right? Tell us how you got started and how did you create this enormous empire?
Yeah, well, thank you so much. I started selling real estate probably about 27 years ago, and I ultimately, kind of quickly became the number one agent in California, and I did that year. I think it was, probably $400 million worth of real estate sales that year, and ultimately, the number three in the country. And then that's when I realized that the stuff that I was doing was teachable, repeatable, that it was systems that were not unique to me, but there were systems that were unique to people that wanted to do it. And so therefore I decided to start the agency. I started the agency 12 years ago, just a week ago. We had our birthday, and we're about to celebrate our 100th office. We're just growing. During recessions, in my opinion, is the opportunity to gain market share, to get aggressive, to be creative. And the problem is that a lot of people are afraid to speak to their clients in a real way. And I think that, it's very important, for people in every industry, in any industry, when you're in the service industry, whether you're in the money management business or real estate or autos or whatever it is that you're in, that you speak to your clientele in a true way where you actually become an advisor to them and not just a salesperson.
About 100 offices worldwide, and you, of course, have a global view. Where are Angelinos going to look for bargains these days?
Yeah, great question. Angelinos are searching, man. We're going a little bit all over the place. I think Texas is still a place to go. Florida is still a place to go, but all of those sections have also slowed down quite a bit. We're seeing, believe it or not, we're actually seeing some Angelinos go down to San Diego where things are a little bit more affordable, going down towards Orange County where things are a little bit more affordable. You're seeing the same type of thing happening in Northern California from San Francisco going out to the suburbs, and so it's just people are looking for more affordable housing.
You handled some of the biggest deals ever. You handled the Playboy Mansion, right? Tell us about some of the big deals you've handled locally.
Well, it's been a ton of fun, handling some big deals, and I'm lucky enough to work with some of the best people in the world, and obviously from the Playboy Mansion. I mean, most recently I just accomplished the highest sale in the Beverly Hills Flats at $34 million. I think that was last week for the year. And I think that's, kind of like the most recent, sale we've had in terms of the high-end stuff. But the high-end has really slowed down quite a bit.
Very interesting. And who is buying these days? For a while there, Chinese buyers were big. Are they back? And who's buying nowadays?
Yeah, great question. The Chinese buyers are, believe it or not, finally starting to come back. They've been out since COVID hit, so they've been out for 2-3 years. Really, we haven't had any sort of international buyers back in the world here. We are seeing, believe it or not, particularly in the high end, a lot of people coming up from Mexico. The dollar is very strong in Mexico, so we are starting to see a lot of people come up from there. In Los Angeles, we're seeing a lot of people come down from Northern California down to Los Angeles, New York. Believe it or not, because again, they have a very similar tax structure, so they're not, they just want better weather, and but we're still seeing the Americans as the primary buyers for our own stuff.
All right, and you've seen the boom and bust cycle here in real estate play out over the years. Where are we at this point? What do you see ahead for prices here in the Los Angeles area?
Well, I predict that we're going to continue to see a struggle at least for the next 12 months. And hopefully start seeing, coming out of that after that. I hope that the government stops raising interest rates. I don't think that we can afford any more raise. It's already slow enough and difficult enough. I think what they need to do is give time for sellers to start adjusting their pricing and to lowering their pricing. And I think that that'll start happening in the next 6, 7, 8 months. We're already starting to have a lot of conversations for sellers to start lowering their pricing. And as soon as that starts happening, you're going to see the buyers start coming back into the market. I think what's happened right now is that there's just been a stagnation of nothing happening because sellers are not reacting yet. They're still waiting, and buyers are sitting on the sidelines just waiting for the sellers to react and lower the pricing. But that is starting to happen. It's beginning to happen now.
All right, and the elephant in the room, of course, commercial real estate. Give us a quick update on what you see happening there.
Yeah, commercial real estate is in a real difficult spot right now. Office buildings, I think what everybody's trying to figure out is what to do with all of these buildings, all of this real estate that exists. I don't see people really going back to offices. I've been talking to a lot of CFOs and CEOs of big corporations, and a lot of them are not forcing their employees to go back to the office. And so, right now I think it's more of a trying to figure out and get creative. I think there's going to be some really good buying opportunities, particularly in the office world, the retail space as well. The hospitality, world is still in a very interesting place, and I don't think that's going anywhere. So, the commercial side on the hospitality, I think that we're still going to see a lot of travel. Obviously, as soon as the economy, strengthens a little bit, you'll start seeing a lot of travel happening again, and I don't think that's going anywhere. But I think people have to get creative on what to do with all these buildings.
All right, you've done all this in the public eye and the reality TV. Have you decided on your routine on Dancing with the Stars coming up here pretty soon?
I'm very excited about that. It's something that is completely outside of my comfort zone, and I'm very excited to do it. We've got our first routine. We've got our first dance. I've been rehearsing hard, and I can't wait to go shake it up on the dance floor.
Fantastic. Well, you've shaken up the world of real estate, and we'll look for you on Dancing with the Stars. Mauricio, look forward to staying in touch with you and getting your views from time to time here. We've been speaking to Mauricio UMANSKY, the founder and CEO of the agency based in Beverly Hills, billion-dollar real estate brokerage. And by the way, he also won the EY Entrepreneur of the Year award this year. Thank you very much, Mauricio, for taking the call live with us here tonight.
Have a great night. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very, very much. And right out to the freeways now, you're on 790 KABC. Folks, I'm not exaggerating when I say this. QC Kinetics can change your life. You can live again without that chronic joint pain and without drugs or surgery. It's Frank Mottek here. QC Kinetics is advanced regenerative medicine. They take your body's own concentrated healing properties and put them right into your joint to restore and repair that damaged tissue that's causing all of that horrible pain. The patient satisfaction reports are absolutely astonishing. Finally, a real alternative to the old ways of dealing with pain. And unlike surgery, there is no downtime with QC treatments. Now, if you have constant pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, or back, you need to call and get a free consultation from the medical professionals at QC Kinetics today. Imagine this autumn moving around pain-free, doing the things you love again, walking, hiking, playing with your grandkids, you name it. Call QC Kinetics and see how the latest advances in precision regenerative medicine can attack your pain and bring you lasting relief. Call QC Kinetics, locations in Glendale, the city of Orange, Mission Viejo, and now also in Costa Mesa. 213-997-PAIN. 213-997-PAIN. Again, that's 213-997-PAIN. Mottek on Money continues here on 790 KABC. Well, the hot labor summer continues. Now the spotlight shifting to the auto industry. A first-ever simultaneous strike at the Detroit Big Three car makers by the United Auto Workers Union. Growing all but certain tonight. Little progress reported in talks hours before a contract deadline expires. The UAW represents 146,000 auto workers, is asking for a 40% pay hike through September 2027 and major improvements in benefits as part of what it calls audacious demands. The UAW has outlined plans for a series of strikes targeting individual undisclosed U.S. auto plants if agreements are not reached by midnight Eastern time tonight. Rather than a full walkout, the union plans to disclose the initial plans during a briefing later this evening. Let's bring in the auto expert now, Lauren Fix, keeping track of all of this very, very closely, and we appreciate that. Lauren Fix, editor-in-chief of Car Coach and co-host of the Total Car Score podcast. Haven't seen anything like this. Lauren, give us an update on what you're picking up on this big news here tonight.
Yeah, this has never happened before. Typically, when there's a strike, they target one car manufacturer at a time. But we're now talking about a new president of the UAW. If you remember, 2 presidents ago, he got arrested for some indiscretions, and now the second one got let go. Now we are at the third very strong UAW President Sean Fain. He is standing strong. Initially, he wanted an increase of $44,000 per employee. They're now down to $33,000. That is a lot of money per person. Everyone would like to have a $33,000 raise, but they also want to get paid for 40 hours a week, but only work 32 hours plus additional benefits. And the impact to the car manufacturers is so dramatic. Plus, there's a lot of other demands that they have. There's no way they're going to meet this demand in 3 hours. I'm sure they will try. I'm sure attorneys and other people will try to negotiate this, but it looks like it's going to come down to a strike. And if so, it'll be what they call a targeted strike, like you were saying, which means they're going to go to maybe engine plants or material plants, maybe second or third tier suppliers, and also strike against them. How that impacts you is if you've ordered a car, you're probably not going to see it right away. Car manufacturers do have a backup plan. They will hire other workers outside the union. They'll also try and get some of their white-collar workers to work down on the production line, some managers and some leaders. But if they don't have engines, for example, to put in a vehicle, they can't build anything. And the impact is much more than, okay, I feel for these people. Yes, everyone wants to make more money, but what's going to do is cause the price of vehicles to get more expensive. And if they strike for a long period of time, the negative impact to the economy is going to be quite dramatic.
Certainly, and it should be noted that Los Angeles is the largest manufacturing region in the United States, which certainly supports the auto industry. We used to have car plants here, not anymore, but certainly this will have a tremendous ripple effect across the country, right?
Absolutely. Now, you look at companies like Tesla and any of the companies like Honda or Toyota or Volkswagen, they produce their products, or Kia or Hyundai, they produce their products in states that are non-union for this specific reason, so they're not being held hostage. What will happen, though, is if they do get a higher demand, you're going to start seeing car manufacturers using less UAW employees, moving some of their products either out of North America in total or moving them to Mexico or Canada, where the union rules are completely different, or moving to the southern states. And remember, every electric car that's produced uses 40% less employees, and the UAW signed on to this. Now they're really unhappy that they realize, wait a minute, this is going to cost us in the end. We're not going to be able to keep our employees, if you have everyone laid off because they don't need them, that's a major problem, and that is going to be one of the big issues.
And they seem to be miles apart. What do you think is going to happen here?
I think they're going to go on strike. I really do. How long it will last, we don't know yet. It depends how flexible Sean Fain and the UAW members want to be. Remember, when you put someone in charge who is very strong, who's sticking his heels into the ground, that may mean that he thinks he's doing the right thing for his members, but what it'll do for the car manufacturers, it's going to hurt them financially. And when you see the impact to you as the consumer, you can't get parts for your car that's being serviced because that's all union workers that are transferring. Other unions typically stand side by side. So it might be the transportation of cars or parts for service for your vehicles could be a massive issue as well.
Looks like the last time we had a GM strike was, about 4 years ago, back in 2019. Do you recall what the end result was there?
Yes, I do, actually, because at the time I was president of North American Car and Truck of the Year Awards, and we were trying to get Corvettes out in time so that we could make sure that the product was eligible, the car was eligible for a Car of the Year award. And they literally held them off for about a month and a half. And it hurt General Motors. It hurt them on sales because people think, well, I was going to get this truck or this car. I'll just go to another company. And they typically lose that loyalty and they don't get them back. So it does hurt car manufacturers. It does hurt the economy. It hurts the state of Michigan. It hurts all the sub-suppliers across North America, whether you're supplying tires or electronic components or seats or whatever it might be. If you can't ship those to a company that doesn't need them or uses less of them, that means people lose jobs.
Lauren, thank you very much for that important update tonight. That's Lauren Fix, editor-in-chief of Car Coach and the co-host of the Total Car Score podcast on what appears to be now an imminent UAW strike coming up here just hours from now. This is Mottek on Money on 790 KBC. I'll be back again tomorrow evening in the 5 o'clock hour. You can also bring up the Mottek on Money podcast on demand at kbc.com, Apple, iTunes, and all your favorite podcast platforms. I'm Frank Mottek, and this is Mottek on Money on 790 KBC.
It could be information to change your life forever. Or the Something You Should Know podcast could just be something interesting.
My guest is Kim Zachman. She is author of the book There's No Cream in Cream Soda. I don't think I've ever really known the story of why they're called hot dogs.
There is so many legends about the name of the hot dog. When the Germans immigrants came over and they brought all of their sausages, they also brought their dachshunds. It really is because they kind of look like dachshunds.
Something You Should Know, wherever you listen.